I said this person is sensitive, intelligent, aware. But what is this person missing? Yes.
The I that is not forgiving is the same ego that it's ego trying to get rid of ego.
Very good. Very good. But there's something even simpler. I'd like you to really feel it out. What is really, why is she suffering so much? Why?
She's identifying with what's being seen.
Very good. She's making it real. She's making the ego
She's
very
telling
real.
my story. Or he's telling my story.
Right. She's making it true. What she's going through, she's
Right.
making it true. And it isn't. It cannot be. Okay?
And there's
So
the
this is
suffering.
it. So right. So now let's talk about ego. Okay? Well, first of all, when I was at UBC, I was giving a class in basic psychology, and there's a I met some PhDs, you know, who are psychologists, and one PhD was adamant. He says there is no God. He was an atheist, and one time we were talking about ego, and he said it's good to have a healthy ego. Okay, now I'm mentioning this just to clear it for those listening to the tape. There's no such thing as a healthy ego. Okay? It is if you are just in psychology alone, because psychology is psychology, the ology of the psyche. You see, it all deals with the mind. Okay? But there is something higher than psychology. For example, there is transpersonal psychology. There is other studies now that are way beyond ordinary, mundane psychology. So, so now we cleared that. Now, ego is 100% fear. But fear is so subtle that we don't even know it is there. See, it's there all the time. All the time. Moment to moment to moment. Okay? We don't even know it exists. Okay? So that's what ego is. It is that self-image, like Assajola, the founder of psychosynthesis, said, 95% of our energy spent protecting, defending, and maintaining our self-image, ego. And it's all imagination. But we make that imagination real, so we are slaves. We are victims of it. Okay. So now, the thing that ego works and produces its own guilt structure called unconscious guilt. The way it does it through control. See, what happens is that when you think you are a separate personal individual, separate from the rest, we're all one. Okay? And when we do not realize that, we develop this ego as if we are better than anybody else. We are important. So what happens is, you develop, and if you don't think you're important, it's the same thing. The same dynamics works, because it's still coming from a sense of self-protection, self-defense, self-maintenance, in other words. Okay, it's made up of three ways in which we control. Now listen very carefully. First, there is the need, or is a fear of losing control. Maybe when we were children, our parents were very warm and very loving. So we got up thinking, maybe when we were 6 years of age or so, conditioned ourselves and thinking, maybe I'm not lovable. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe there's something wrong with me. You see? So if we buried that thought in the subconscious mind, it can last us a whole lifetime unless we see it as an ego. So in that case, we become very conscious of losing control, because losing control means being vulnerable, being exposed, you see? And so we're making sure that we're not going to be exposed. So all the time we are trying not to lose control. So maybe somebody puts you in a situation which is kind of scary. So you'll always find you're protecting yourself so that you won't be put into that position. Okay, that's the fear of losing control. This fear of losing control also makes you want to remain in control all the time. And it creates another fear of somebody controlling you. So all the time you are establishing this control, and it comes into what is called inner anger. an anger that's always inside us, but we don't know it's there. You know, A Course in Miracles calls it a grievance. Okay? There is this feeling inside which is very uncomfortable, always protecting yourself. And so you try to be in control. So when you tell a person, if you forgive, you can heal. And they say, no, I don't want to forgive. They don't deserve to be forgiven because they did this to me and they did that. You see? So we want to remain in control. Okay, by remaining in control, again, we're afraid of being controlled and afraid of losing control. So control is the big issue of the ego. But that control, why is it there? Because of guilt. Okay? Now remember, guilt works two ways. Guilt works from the sense that there's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough. Something is happening I don't understand. I'm confused. I'm frightened. Okay? And then, okay, what's the second thing I want to make? There is that feeling. And then we also want to justify it, because even though I'm feeling unloved, even though I'm feeling not good enough, at the same time, I don't want it to be a lie that I'm telling myself. You see? Because then I feel like I'm being invalidated. Okay? People are not validating me as a human being. You mean you're lying to yourself all the time? In other words, if I admit that these feelings I'm having are just imagination, then I feel being invalidated, being not respected, not being believed. I mean, there are many people who go to a very wise man and they say, look, he says, you know, this is all ego. And they get so angry, they slam the door and walk out. They say, who does he think he is? You know, blah, blah, blah. This is real. I'm feeling this pain. This is very real. You see? And so we want it to be real because we want to justify how we feel. Why? Because again, we want to be validated as a human being. So therefore, not only we don't forgive, but okay, let's see. I'm trying to find out the whole dynamic of control, how it works. And then we are afraid of losing control, right? So we keep on maintaining it over and over again. I have every reason to feel this way, and I'm not going to give up. You see? So, but what happens when you have this guilt? What happens when you try to hold on to it? You
lose it because when you try to grasp something,
because
it
what?
goes away. When you try to hold on to something, it actually goes away more.
No, not really. When you hold on to something, if you hold on to your guilt, you're feeling guilt, you're holding on to it, then what happens is that you don't feel, you feel like there's something wrong with you. And so what you do is this. Let's say you have a relationship and you really like this guy, you really love this person, okay? If you're too happy with this person, you sabotage it. Because to you it feels like it's too good to be true. There's something in you that you feel as if you don't deserve that much love. You're not good enough to deserve that love. And so you punish yourself. So what is happening that this self-sabotage is a very common thing, and it's happening all the time. That when you feel guilty and you hold on to guilt, you actually try to punish yourself. When Eckhart Tolle wrote the book, The Power of Now, he talked about the pain body. I never read the book, but people have asked me, because I receive these letters all the time, and they said, what does Eckhart Tolle mean when he says this? You know, pain body. Well, the pain body is this guilt that we feel inside. And when we have this pain, we have validated it so much, we want the control so much, that if you actually are in love with a person, you have a relationship and you're getting along and things are hanky-dory, they're just wonderful, after 3 or 4 days really feeling good, you try to find something wrong with the person. Okay? You always try to find some excuse to sabotage the relationship. You see? Why? Why do you do that?
For your comfort. Goes back to a comfort zone of the pain body.
So the pain body has become...
The comfort. It becomes your norm.
It becomes your norm because you're actually hungry for pain, because pain to you is more real than being joyous. Mm-hmm. You see? You were going to say something?
Yeah, well, it validates what you feel like you're a schmuck. Otherwise, if you take that away and you believe that you're not, you move back into the helpless thing. It takes your whole defensive fortress and it levels it. And that's too dangerous. No. So
you're vulnerable. You're
open. It makes you totally vulnerable and open.
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
Does fear have anything to do with it? Because
fear is everything. That's very good question,
Cynthia.
Cynthia. Yeah. Fear is every negativity that you feel. Okay? As a matter of fact, if you the Course in Miracles says something very beautiful. It says there are only two emotions, only two: love or fear. Fear is everything that is negative. You see? So guilt is very, very high fear. There, high fear threshold. Everything that you can think of, negativity, doubt, confusion, uncertainty. You see, all that is fear. You see, what if? But, you see, all that is fear. Yeah. And fear always brings protection, the need for protection. But if you expose the fear openly, like we do here as we talk, you see, that begins to release it, that bringing healing. And the moment you understand the difference between the real and unreal, that which is true and untrue, something else you realize, which I realized, the truth is choiceless. This means that anything that is not true is a self-deception, is a lie, is a separation from love, from God. You see, which again is impossible to be separate because it's holographic. I am part of the whole, I am the whole. So I am actually extricating myself from myself. I am splitting myself into two. And therefore, that's the pain that I'm feeling. The pain that I'm feeling is not real, but living the impossibility of the separation. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. This is very important. So when we separate, we extricate from our true nature, and that becomes very, very painful. That very painful feels very real, but it feels real because you're living the impossible. You see? You're out of alignment with Source. You're out of alignment completely. And so you're feeling the pangs of that. Now, let's move on a little deeper now. Okay? Now, what is ego? Another term of the ego is that it believes the ego doesn't know that it's living from the mind. It believes everything is real. Okay? Everything. All imagination that it sees it as real. That's what ego does. But now, is there a way to transcend the ego? Can we transcend it?
How can you transcend something that isn't there?
Very good. All you have to do is see it as imagination. Okay, and that's very beautiful. The ego is not there at all, it's all imagination.
But this email this person wrote you is so key in the sense that they're beginning to see.
Yes, that's what I said. I really admired this person, and I said, I'm going to read it because it's written very insightful. She sees everything that is happening.
And they can't fix it.
And they're trying to fix it.
Right.
And to try to fix a lie is to make it even more sticky, right? Right. To make a lie feel real then, you see? Many people say, I want to get rid of my ego. And it is the ego trying to get rid of the ego. Because that's against the game. Yeah.
She's like beginning to be, the fact that she's like describing what's happening is like there's a bit of awareness there. She has to be aware of it to be able to see all the things.
Very
so it's
aware.
so close. It's just like that. The subtleties of the mind. I need to get rid of this in order to kind of get on the other side.
That's right.
And that's the thing. That's the mystery.
Beautiful.
The paradox is like, okay, maybe if I'm aware of that part that wants to get rid of it, just be aware of that and not do anything. Just like, okay, and then what else can you do?
Very good. You're beautiful, Jesse. Yeah, it's very, very good. See, we're learning the dynamics of the game of the ego. Once you see, again, how it's working, that's the end of it. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yes, we can transcend it, but not it itself, by seeing that it's all imagination. And imagination has become... Why does it become real? Why do we suffer so much? Feel it, please. Okay, I already said because we made something real that isn't. But something else happens. The mind has one law. It's called the law of attraction. That's what the mind is. Imagination can bring you a beautiful world or a very miserable world. They won't. I just have to let it. Okay. So this never happened during satsang.
No.
So what was I saying?
The mind can bring you a beautiful...
The imagination can be very beautiful, or it can be hell. You see, if you make it real. If you know it's not real, then it's creative. Then it can take you beyond itself. But if you make it real, then you really suffer. So now, I'd like to call it this. Now, the teaching of the Course and many great teachings tell you this. To transcend the ego, you cannot do it by yourself. You need a teacher, a guide, or some help. Okay? But there is a help you can have. And Jesus gave it to us, and it's very beautiful. It's called the Holy Spirit. Alright? And it says that if you create the Holy Spirit and you see the Holy Spirit, that it can help you, then you can actually hear it when the ego starts to surface. The Holy Spirit will tell you, you're getting caught again. This is happening. Okay? Now, Holy Spirit means this. Holy, because it's whole, it's complete, it's holographic. And Spirit, because it is Spirit. It's not definable. Okay? So the Holy Spirit is a very real thing. I am saying this as true as I can. I talk to the Holy Spirit every day. And it guides me in everything that I want to know. I just ask it. Sometimes I take the Alpha Smart and I sit with it and I said, okay, tell me now something beautiful, something. And I just close my eyes and become very still and I start writing. And before I know it, something always comes out that takes me to the next step, next seeing. So the point is to start allowing the Holy Spirit to actually guide you beyond the ego. So if let's say you get up first thing in the morning and says, okay, Holy Spirit, be with me today, guide me. And if the ego starts taking over, teach me to laugh at it. Teach me to smile and be happy despite it, not get caught. Because trying to get rid of it is hard work. You know, its tentacles come in and really grip you. So the point is to make it very, very light. Like Osho used to say, you know, you go in front of a mirror and start laughing. If you take something too seriously. And the moment you start breaking out into laughter, real laughter, the ego starts dying. The moment you start laughing from your heart, fully, the ego will die at that moment. Why? Because during laughter there's no ego. It's not possible. See? Did you know why?
Why, as in... Why do we laugh when there's no ego?
Okay, why do we laugh? Okay, let's discuss that. Why do we laugh?
Because we don't take ourselves seriously.
Okay, but what makes us laugh?
We see the grand paradox and joke of which there is no answer. So there's nothing else to do.
That's beautiful. That's right. And when you start seeing life like that very clearly, the ego cannot sustain you anymore, because the ego wants to grab you, wants to hold, wants you to be in control, you see? Wants to suffocate you, in other words. That's right. So laughter itself is egoless. I was going to say something else, but okay, so are there any questions? Yeah.
So, if we were to kind of go through life laughing at everything, then that would, or having that...
If the laughter is real.
Yes, but have like a light-hearted attitude.
That's right.
Then that would help to put our ego into place?
Yes.
Would that be correct?
Yes. Especially if you do it because you see that life is happening. There's not much you can do, you see? And first there's objective reality. I broke a leg. That's called objective reality, okay? And if I broke a leg, I can feel pity for myself. I can feel, oh, I'm not going to be walking. Oh, gee, this is happening. I'm going to miss work and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to lose money. What am I going to do? Or I can say, I broke a leg. You see, there's nothing you can do except now give it a rest and heal it, you know, and whatever. So work with that. But more important than that in objective is subjective life. And subjective life is truth. So whenever you are not feeling happy, immediately you know that you are out of alignment. Why is that? Because emotion, which it's all emotions when we feel bad, right? All emotional pain is emotional. Emotion is motion of energy. And what is happening is the body is neutral. The mind is directing the body all the time. So therefore, if you think that something went wrong, something negative, and you believe it, the moment you believe it, the body reacts immediately. Okay? Suppose you get up at night and you hear a burglar coming in. You see? And the door opened and you grab something, you're shaking. Your whole body is ready for action. You know? At that moment, the cycles of your brain are so high that you can actually, maybe if you had a shotgun, you could kill somebody that comes through the door. It could be your own friend. But then you find out that it was the cat just moved in. And you realize how silly it was, the whole thing. But your body did not know. It only believed what your mind told you at that moment. You see, that's what emotions are. What we believe, whatever our imagination is telling us at that moment. And the body believes it. And the body is always functioning in reaction to that belief. So when we start taking things lightly, you know, more and more, live more in joy, you see, things don't affect you as much anymore. That doesn't mean if somebody dies that you're very, very dear to you, that you have known, you don't feel remorse. No, what is the word? Grief. It's natural to grieve. But what happens is that you know that they haven't really died. They're not physically in proximity with you at the moment. But you know that they're still alive. So the grief, it might take a while, but it does not control you. It does not harden your heart. It does not make you hard-hearted. It does not make you lose sight of what is beautiful and good. You see? So you allow yourself to grieve, and you give it time, and it's okay. This is part natural of what's called normal living. You see? So emotions, the moment you react, you allow it. You allow it completely to work itself through. In fact, if you feel a lot of anger, you want to hit somebody over the head, sit and watch the sensations going through your body and allow them to work themselves through. And by doing that, see, eventually your body will not react as much anymore. And you'll be able to see clearer and clearer and clearer of what is happening. So it's all a matter of clarity between what is real and what is not real. Yeah.
So just a comment on that. If you use laughter in an attempt to escape pain, then you are just multiplying the situation.
Very good. Oh, I'm glad you brought it because I didn't. Very good. If you use laughter to get rid of the ego or to overcome pain, then it's just another game.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah.
But
We're talking about something, we have to know what is real. Okay? And laughter has to be real. Joy has to be, you cannot pretend joy. There are many people who become so-called spiritual and they're walking around with a smile on their face all the time. Look how holy I am. Okay. That has nothing to do with truth.
Sometimes I'm at work and I'm not having a good day, and usually, normally people would be like, oh, just slap a cake, put a smile on your face and go with it. I just allow myself to just if I'm mad, if I'm not wanting to feel like I'm working, just fully experience it. Just let myself be like, I don't want to be here. And it's like a quick doorway into just like freshness of the moment, just allowing myself to feel whatever and not caring if I'm sad or whatever. So it's.
Why did it work like that? Why did it work refreshing? Why was it refreshing?
Because I didn't kind of
control it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah,
you didn't control it. You allowed it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Sorry, I had a question about
Yeah.
arrogance, about like spiritual arrogance. Sometimes I feel like if I'm like spiritually arrogant, like I just sometimes like I'm speaking to a friend or whatever, and like I have all these experiences that I'd like to share, whatever, and I'm like, why am I even saying this? I'm better than this person or whatever it is, and I'm witnessing this, and I'm like it's just like this, you know what I mean? It's just like that's not even a question, but
no, it's good. It's good. It's good. Very good. Spiritual arrogance and pride are very, very common, and they're also part of the ego. When you start growing and expanding, you become very aware. Everything is imagination, and there's many times when you go into the street, it says, "Hey, look, you're getting upset. Don't you know it's all imagination?"
Yeah.
And you actually become obnoxious in trying to tell people how to live.
Right.
Okay, and we lose perspective. And the point is always compassion, always love. If a person is caught in their pain, to them is very real. What right have you got to tell them it's not real to them? So you can help them to find out it's not real if they attend the satsang, and we can talk about it, but it's up to them to discover it, not for us to tell them. You see? Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. The point is always to be real in the moment to what is. Yeah. So is that clear? We're closer to the difference between mind and truth? Yeah. Mind is that which is always changing. You watch a cloud streaming across the sky. It looks like a horse. Then it looks like a person. Then it looks like a house. But it has no form. It's changing all the time. And if we were to speed up time, it will be the same. Right now we have a form and we make it so real. You see, a wave of the ocean is a millisecond. Just like that. It's a lifespan. But what if the lifespan of a wave was 100 years? Just like human life is becoming at this point. We're increasing our lifespan as we become more aware and healthier. You see? So what happens is that the longer you live, the more you begin to take for granted that you are the body. But you're more than a body. You see? You are holographic essence. You are life. Everything is a part of you. So that is the difference. So you use imagination and use imagination to take you beyond it. But the moment you make it real, you're worrying about it now. Okay? Now you're caught. You see? Yeah.
Oh, no.
You got something?
Well, so worry is really when we're making our imagination real. Like, you know, when we worry.
Worry, yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You're making something that hasn't happened yet, and you actually can make it come true if you believe it.
It's powerful.
You see what I mean? Yeah, it's
Very
powerful because the law of attraction, you see, imagination creates. But if you see it as imagination, not only it will not happen, but it will relieve you from that much stress. You see? And another thing too, that when you see imagination as imagination, you collapse time in your favor. You see? So if you were supposed to fall on your face, or somebody were to hit you on the face because maybe you hit somebody later on and the karma is catching up with you. But if you begin to forgive yourself by seeing it as imagination and moving through it, then you don't need these lessons. You see? And that's what forgiveness is, incidentally. Forgiveness is not the everyday type of forgiveness that we think it is. It's very radical. It's realizing that, hey, there's nothing to forgive. You see? So the word forgiveness is a reminder that it's all imagination anyway. You know. They didn't do that to me. Somehow or other I created it. You see? I brought it about. Anyway, okay, are there any questions?
Maybe one last question.
Yeah.
So when we have a glimpse of ourselves, like aware of ourselves, awareness, aware of itself, how come is it that it seems like an object? Because like, let's say I'm aware of all this and it's transient, then something else happens. So the same awareness becomes aware of itself, and that is aware of itself is almost acting as an object in kind of a way too, because you're aware of it. So it's just like, and it's like, sometimes it can be...
It's always awareness that is, first of all, let's make that clear, okay? Awareness is God, awareness is oneness, awareness is, period. Your awareness and my awareness are both the same, because nobody owns awareness. But awareness is, when it identifies with a form, and awareness is always creating from itself, you know, because awareness is aware of itself. You see, if I ask you, for example, you exist, how do you know you exist? And then you say to me, well, of course I do, because I'm aware I exist. You see, awareness is aware of itself. Okay, so it's self-perpetuating. Okay, it's holographic. In other words, if you put a mirror in here, and you see yourself, and you put a mirror at the back, you still see yourself, but now you multiply it almost endlessly. That's holographic. The fragment has now multiplied itself over and over and over again. You see? So this is what awareness does. Now when you become aware how awareness is creating everything out of itself, awareness is the very truth itself. It's doing everything. The moment we become aware of that, we begin to feel incredible power. We're very powerful beings, you see? Because it's not that you can control it, but at the same time, you can, by seeing it, it becomes indirect control. That's the power, you see? By seeing what is happening. So, did I get to your
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so awareness is extreme. Everything is, if you want to define truth, which you cannot,